Where are your kids right now?
They're at school.
Oh, wow. What time? What,
Yeah,
midnight?
we keep them there as long as we can.
Do you guys, am I impeding on your like making love
Cots.
time?
No, I'm not going to be able. Yeah, exactly.
Is this your
Chris
kind of,
came home early thinking we were going to get some alone time. And instead I'm like, I've got an hour with Lisa.
Sorry. Yeah.
Welcome to Your Mom. Your Mom Podcast. Your Mom's Podcast.
This isn't any podcast. This is your mother's podcast.
My Mom's Podcast.
Nah, dude, she's your mom.
With Ashley Adamson and Lisa McCaffrey.
Your mom is a podcast.
Shut up, dude.
There is nothing like starting a podcast, looking at your podcast host who is drinking out of a Your Mom mug. I'm hoping that's spiked, Lisa.
Coming to stores near you.
Uh-huh.
Your Mom mug.
Merch. We're going to get, I want to say at the top, we're going to get some merch. I just ordered a bunch of hats, a bunch of Your Mom hats.
I cannot wait.
So just line up all of you.
Yeah, seriously. Take a number.
Get ready. Because Your Mom merch is coming. Your
mom is coming at you from every angle. Watch your back.
Watch your front. Ashley Adamson, Lisa McCaffrey, back with you for another episode of Your Mom. I think we're officially on episode 11. At some point, I'll stop saying what episode we're on, but I still we're, as you mentioned the other day, we're still in breastfeeding phase. Like we're in the infancy of our podcast.
Yeah, we're not weaning off anytime soon.
No, we are not going to solids anytime soon.
We're still suckling the teat.
I wanted to take a moment. Well, first of all, I just want to congratulate you on the fact that you have finally figured out how to subscribe to our own podcast.
Thank you.
Basically, you're not as dumb as you look, Lisa.
Now I'm like a computer Scientologist or whatever. Yeah. So millennials.
Walking through that with you today, I was like, oh, you're not even subscribed. That's been the issue. You have not been subscribed to our own podcast. So you're subscribed. If you haven't rated and reviewed, please.
I have not done that, but I feel like it's one of those things. If you post like on the gram, I learned this from the millennials, the kids. If you post on the gram, you don't like your own stuff. That's a huge faux pas.
So that's a good question. I don't think people will know. You can give us a 5-star rating without outing yourself. Yeah, I think it's legal. We got a 1-star rating, by the way. We have like a bunch of 5-star ratings, but somebody came in and gave us 1 star. So we need all the ratings we can get.
But you know what? You can't please everyone. That's good. I would like to know why. So maybe, if you have a valid point, we can try to improve. So
good point. And as we always said in college, I think the worst thing you can be, we used to call them a perfect 5.
Yeah.
I would rather be a 1 or a 10. If you're the person who walks into the room at a party and you just look over and you have it doesn't make you happy and it doesn't make you like, oh God. That is to me like the perfect 5 is that it's just, what are you doing? Either be somebody that walks in the room and people are psyched that you're there or not happy, but the 5. Yeah.
That's so bland. That's blah.
Yeah. So I hope we only ever get 5 stars or 1 stars, I guess what I'm saying.
Right. We'll take it. Yeah. No, you can't please everyone. You can't.
No,
learn that.
Yep. Trust me, I tried in high school. I'm just kidding. It's a joke.
I know. I've heard. Trust me. I live in the same state as where you went to high school. I've heard.
Joke. I have talked about my dad on this podcast. Shout out to Gary Adamson. He's, as I've said, amazing, supportive. I can't wait for you to meet him. You'll meet him at some point.
I can't wait to.
But I do want to just tell a quick story. So whenever any of me or my 3 siblings got in trouble when we were growing up, it was not great. Like you didn't want Gary Adamson mad at you because he never yelled, but he would just get really quiet and we'd have you knew that there was going to be like a 3-hour talk that you had to have.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's Ed. That's literally Ed.
Really?
Coach Ed.
Well, I was just going to say, he would, one of the most brilliant things that they ever did was he would ask us what we thought our punishment should be.
Oh,
which is a really good tactic because you're trying to you don't want to give yourself, you're trying to know that you take it seriously. So, and I think my younger brother, one time he grounded himself for 6 months because he was 5 minutes late home from playing freeze tag outside one night.
For 6 months. That's a bit draconian, don't you think?
Yeah. And my dad was like, well, if that's what you think is fair, okay.
Did he hold him to it? No way.
I don't really remember, but I think, he might have. But the other part of that is that he would always, at the end, he would say, it was always what did you learn? That was what he always asked. What did you learn?
Right.
So that is the question that we are going to answer today. because we've interviewed like 7 amazing moms at this point, and each has been unique in their own way. And I personally have learned something from each of these conversations. But I think it was good to just like kind of take a reset, pause, and look back and say, okay, what are some of the things that we've taken?
Right. What can we extract from all of these moms? How can we be better?
Can I tell you, my husband, Chris, who you just got to meet for the first time virtually, he just popped in right before we started. Yeah, he's
so cute. Oh my gosh. Yeah. If you don't like us,
he's the best.
Tune in. Maybe you'll get a little glimpse of him.
I'll start posting pictures of my husband and see if we can get the listenership.
That one is going to be at 5 or what's the highest after they see your husband. Yeah.
But I asked him, I said, Chris, we're about to do this thing about what we've learned so far. I said, have you learned anything from the podcast? And he like thought about it for a minute and he was like, well, yeah. I'd say maybe the biggest thing is that I think moms are way too hard on themselves. And I was like, yeah, you are right. On. You are spot on. I think that's true. I think moms are too hard on themselves. And maybe dads should be a little bit harder on themselves.
Yeah, I know. Should we do a happy medium of the two? I don't know. Or
we could meet you in the middle here.
Yeah. Wow.
But I do think that's spot on. I do. Yeah. I think that's true.
Wow. Okay. That's good. I wasn't expecting that. I love it. Okay.
I know.
Thank you, stud arm candy.
I think the big picture, Lisa, and we've talked about this, but the conversations with these like moms have just totally validated the thing that I always knew, which is moms are superheroes. I really feel that way. They've also made me appreciate my own parents a ton more.
And have you, after listening, do you give yourself a little bit more credit too, hopefully?
Yeah.
What you're doing. I know you're early on in it, but still, I hope you do because you deserve it. You're a working mom that's getting it all done. And that is so difficult, so hard today's age. And you're doing an incredible job.
I think I appreciate that. And thank you. And I will say that it's felt, I've done a lot of different amazing, meaningful things that I have felt very lucky to do in my career, but nothing, when we ended the interview with Martha Thomas a few weeks ago, and thank you to everyone who we've heard who that podcast touched them because we felt the same way. I mean, she was incredible and her story is amazing and the work that her family is doing. If you haven't listened to it, I just highly recommend go back and listen to Solomon Thomas's mom's interview. Their story is amazing. But I sat at my desk and I just sort of like looked off into space for like 10 minutes and I just felt this feeling of like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Like this is really special. And I don't know, there's so many different decision points that you make about how you're going to decide to do certain things or chase certain ideas. And I'll talk about it more at the end, but I just want to say I am so grateful that we are doing this. And I think it's resonating with a lot at people. And I
do too. I've gotten, some amazing feedback. And some of my close friends have, come in and just said, wow, and I'm at a different stage in life than you are. Obviously my kids are older, but you're never not a mom, right? You're never in every single stage of the game. And you constantly worry, and it's the same pressures you have, but in an older, different way. And I think it resonates with everyone who's ever had a kid. Adopted a kid, whatever. You can't explain the unconditional love. That was the thing I took away from all of the interviews so far. Every single one of them had 100% support, 100% unconditional love for all of their kids. Everyone, the ones we talk about obviously are the really successful ones, but also the ones that are, having a harder time in life, having a hard time navigating life. And the parents are just there and it's inspirational. It's pretty amazing.
I couldn't agree more. Women. And I think Marsha Leaf obviously immediately comes to mind what she went through watching Ryan being in jail for 3 years, getting torn apart publicly by the media. Yeah. And there was obviously a lot of pain there. But something she said, I wrote it down. She just said, I stood shoulder to shoulder with him through all of it. I was there. And the thing that she said that I thought was just such a good line, she said, it's not what we go through, it's how we get through it that matters.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
One thing that resonated with me, I'll never forget the story of when he was released from prison, the local newspaper was writing an article that wasn't good. It was scathing. It wasn't nice. And she marched into that newspaper offices and she said, this is not helpful. You're not doing, he's a hometown boy. He's a local boy. I would think you'd want to build him up rather than punch him down at this stage of the game. And, if you could do that. And I think she had it, the article was never published.
Well, and that
doesn't describe a mom defending her son. I don't know what is. And that was pretty cool that she did that. I love that.
I agree. And the mama bear instinct, right? That we all feel. And
Totally,
it's just,
yeah.
you can't explain it. Like you would literally do anything
And
for
it
them.
never goes away, Ashley, no matter
Yeah,
how old they
I'm
are. I
sure.
wish, you think it will, and, it subsides a little. Like when I first got on Twitter, I was like, we're so defensive. Now I let that go.
Yeah.
But still,
Now I just started sending you all the tweets that are like,
yeah,
did
all
this
the
make
bad
you
tweets.
mad?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about this?
But I will say the speculation that comes with having, and again, another thing that Marcia said is just every mom who has a child that is famous, it is in her heart for the rest of her life. Like
Yeah,
she carries it with
right.
her. And I remember she said that to me and I thought that is so poignant and powerful because no matter what your kid is going through this, but they're in the public eye. Like it's one thing, everybody fails, right? Everybody has things in life that.
And you're failing it with a huge audience in
Yes.
front of you, judging you, critiquing you. Like,
Yes.
I feel like saying, hey, I'm not walking into, your son in his accounting firm critiquing, hey, you didn't have that right or whatnot. No, this is on a big stage and it's hard and you have to have some thick skin. And there are times I don't, I'll be honest. And there are times I'm good, but there are other times if you catch me in a vulnerable moment, it's hard. And, I've cried many a times over things that have been said and I'm sure everybody has. So,
I think it obviously comes with the territory, right? Like you're so proud and excited that you've got, that you raised kids that are competing, like you just Christian, for example, at the highest level, right? Like he's 0.01% of any football player that ever wants to get, he's at that level. And with it just comes all of that. But what you wished people, and that's what I love about this podcast, what I wish people kind of understood more is like, yeah. And I think it was again, Marcia, maybe or Marilyn that said this, Marilyn Plummer, of fans don't realize like that there are families in the stands. Like everybody wants this so badly.
Right.
And they put so much into it. And you, again, it's your right. You buy a ticket, you can go yell and say whatever you want. But
or dismiss it with a callous comment that's, it's hurtful and you don't realize it. And like they said, there's a family behind it listeing and, and they're a human being. All these people competing and participating at these levels are human beings at heart. And they were just sometimes some of them are just gifted with this incredible ability and they're making the most of it and good for them for trying.
Yes.
Good for them for trying.
The man in the arena.
The man in exactly. Arena. I've read that many a time and I love that poem. Yeah.
It's one of the best quotes of all time.
So good.
Yeah. What's been the thing when you and I'm sure there's been a bunch of stuff, but has there been something that stands out to you? Like what gets under your skin the most when it comes to people saying stuff about Christian? Is it, I remember one time you said like, people are always asking how he's doing. And how, but it's like, cause they want to know because of his for their fantasy.
Yeah.
Team.
And that the fantasy thing is a little annoying. I laugh it off more than he used to be more annoyed with it now. Cause he's like, this is your fantasy, but this is my real life. This is like what I put my heart and soul into every single day. And I try so hard. So, no, I'm kind of over that. I just laugh it off.
Yeah.
Now, I have to be honest. No.
So should I play him this weekend or should I?
You know what? I'm not going to tell you. I'm not getting any inside information, but if I was a gambler, I would. No, what's the spread? I'm kidding. No, I just, I think of that with Christian, but then I look at the McBrides, what they went through. I mean, they had some awful things like thrown at them about their kids too. And you're just like, you know what? It made me realize, you know what? We're all going to be okay. You just love your kid no matter what. And you have to just filter that out. And Christian this offseason worked out with Laird Hamilton. He used to go to his house and would do a lot of pool workout. Non-weight bearing stuff for whatever, and worked on his
probably great lung capacity and
exactly,
all those.
Exactly. Yeah. And oh my gosh, the guy's just a stud, and his wife is just drop dead gorgeous, and she actually has a great podcast as well. But anyway, they're just amazing people, and they've helped him so much. But I remember Christian told me a story that Gabriella's wife came in and said, "Hey, Laird, there's something on Twitter blowing up that you said," or I don't even know the story, and I don't care, but it was something bad that was blowing up about him, and he's like, "Hey, are they at the front of the house? Are these people at my gate? Are they trying to get in?" Like, and she's like, "No." And she's like, "Oh, then I don't really care." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that was like Christian told me that." And he's like, "Okay," because the guy might have said something. "Hey, did you see what they said about you?" And he's like, "Hey, mom, relax. Like, are they here? Are they, are they like, don't worry about it.
They don't, right. No. And it's easier to, I think that comes with experience.
Yeah, it does. Because like I said, at first it was, oh my gosh, I would have been bawling on the floor of my
right.
closet. So, but
different than when, and not that anyone ever critiqued Ed, especially when he was a Bronco. I feel like everybody loved that man. But was it, do you feel different about, your kids being in the spotlight than when Ed played?
Well, Ed got criticism when he got drafted by the Giants, and the New York media is brutal, can be brutal. So no, and he had some great years there, but yeah, he got cut abruptly. You wanted me to tell you what they said?
Yes.
They said, quote, I don't want another white boy that can't run after the catch. You're cut, basically. You're no good. That's exactly what the coach told him. So that was fun. Anyway, and then when he got cut, there was a brutal article about something saying along the lines like, I think Ironside has better moves than Ed McCaffrey or something. And meanwhile, he was the leading receiver the year before. I was like, oh, and I had just had Max, our first baby, and I was just like flooding with hormones. And that was a tearjerker. You know, it was the first horrible criticism. You just feel terrible. And it was also an insecure time because we didn't know where he was going to go.
Right.
And that was a very difficult time. So I probably overreacted, but I mean, I didn't do anything. There was no Twitter back then
and I guess that's actually probably the biggest difference between now and the age of when your kids kind of came up and then and when Ed was there is that there
it was just in print. It was the media. But we got over it. It's good. It's good. Right. He showed him. And the guy that said that later on said that one of the biggest mistakes he's ever made was cutting Ed McCaffrey. So that was redeeming. And then they went on and killed him in a Super Bowl. But that's a whole other story. We don't want to talk about that.
We'll do that in another podcast. Yeah, just drink that drink. Sister.
Whatever. I don't know. That was very redeeming though, I'll be honest, because not everybody gets that like redemption. So that actually did feel kind of good. So
yeah, no, it is good. And we've talked about this too, but just him not going as high in the draft as I think a lot of people anticipated and knowing exactly every receiver taken
ahead before of him. He knew every single one of them. Yeah. And I think there was 2 that made it a couple years, but other than that, no one else. I know a lot of like, I think is it Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, they know as well who the quarterbacks were taken before them. But
yeah. Well, okay. So not to sidetrack too much, but I guess back to the point of like, what have we learned? Are there other things? Cause I've got a few others that stand out, but just, are there 1 or 2 gold nuggets as you look back at who we've been able to chat with that you've kind of taken like, oh, that.
I go back to the unconditional love. I just feel like every one of these women that we have interviewed have just complete, utter unconditional love for their families. And that is the main link that I've said. I'm still jury's out on I'm still trying to analyze. This is why I love doing this is it more nature or more nurture? And I don't know yet. Well, I don't know, but I will say the one common thread so far is that every single one of these women have supported their kids in what their passion is, all of them. So they're backing them, they help them, they don't, discredit them or make fun of them. They're excited that they have a passion and they support them. And I appreciate that. So the unconditional love, but jury's still out on nature versus nurture. I'm trying to figure that out. And we're going back to Denise. Well, we haven't dropped.
Well, we should tease this though, because that's exactly what I was going to say. So we've got Denise Rapinoe, Megan Rapinoe's mom. Yes, the Megan Rapinoe. Her mom is joining us next week, which we just did that interview, and I cannot wait for all of you to listen to it. It is just, if you do not miss that interview. She was amazing. But that to me, her story is at the heart of the nature versus nurture thing.
Right. I think she's a twin. Megan is a twin, which we didn't know her sister's name is Rachel. So we touch on that a little bit. So
but her older brother, Brian, and his story has been documented and we get into it. But her older brother, Megan Rapinoe's older brother, Brian, had a very different path. It was pretty much I would say like the exact opposite of the way that Megan went. And when you look at the hardships and, there's drug addiction and incarceration for a very long time. And Brian, the son I'm referring to, is now living with his mom and his dad. And there's a lot of
son is also living with him too. And Denise, her mom, is raising their son, or he's 21 now. So
but she did raise him.
She did raise him. Yeah.
And so there's, and we talk about her. We talk about this with her of just the dichotomy of having 2 kids who she had multiple kids, but just that you could have one that was on one end of the spectrum, the other and I said, well, what does that mean? She goes, well, it keeps you humble.
Yeah.
It keeps you humble because it was a great response. And I do think that, and we go into it more. So I won't give the whole interview away, but she was remarkable. And I think is at the heart of one of the biggest things that I have taken away is that you have to let go of that. You think that you can control all of these things. And the harder that you try to control them, the more you want for your kids, like they have to want it themselves. And like you said, you just go support them and whatever their passion is, you help them find it. And then you just like support them and cheer them on because you can't want it for them. And I think that's something that and it's also, I would say too, there was one moment in particular, and I even texted, I think it was Marsha Leaf after her interview. She said to us, like, those moments that you have with your kids when they're small, they are so fleeting, and everyone tells you that, and the days are long and the years are short, blah, blah, blah. But she said, the reality is that like there are those precious moments, and just don't miss any of them. Like when your kid asks you to go play trains, go play trains. Like the dishes can wait,
present,
the lunches can wait, be present. And that night, after we did that interview with Marsha, I picked up my kids from school, came home, and Collins, my son, was just begging me to go play with him. And I, was sort of dismissing it, like, let me get dinner started and let me do this and let me unpack your lunches and let me make sure. And finally I was like, dude, you just had somebody today tell you. And like a light went off and I'm like, okay, I'm going to wait for all this and let's go downstairs and play trains. And I sent Marsha a picture and I just said like, hey, thank you. Yeah. He's so bossy though. That's the thing. He like has all these rules about trains. I'm like, my train's better than your train and my train can go over here. But anyway, not the point. Either way, I was just down in our basement playing with him for trains for like 30 minutes. And it was, I just felt that was one of those moments that I'm like, this matters. And I texted her and I just said, thank you. Like I've tried, it's easy to not, you miss those moments more often than you'd like to admit.
Right. But you just said, okay, he was bossy. Like you may have taught him a lesson while you were playing those 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You very well could have. I don't know. Maybe you're completely out of it and on your phone half the time. But
I was just like taking all like for my Insta story.
Right.
Like,
You're doing
look at how good look at what a good mom I am playing with my son. Smile, Collins.
Like I'm the best mom ever. So no.
You know what? I know my other, like I was thinking about my favorite, even like behind the scene moments of this podcast was Marilyn Plummer. This is all time. So Marilyn Plummer.
I know what you're going to say.
Jake Plummer's mom. So we got connected because I've worked with Jake. And so we're talking and Marilyn's just the best again. Go listen. This is mostly like a pub to go back and listen if you missed any of these interviews. But we were texting before the interview and she said, hey, I just want to let you know, I listened to one of your episodes and oh my gosh, like Lisa is so funny. And I just, it's hilarious because I remember her from when Jake and Ed played together. And I have this image of a serene, classy, dignified lady. And I think I screenshotted that and sent it to you.
Yeah,
I'm like,
you did. You're like, wait, who?
I'm like, wait,
what?
You? Yeah. I feel like I don't even know you. And I'm dying laughing. I'm like, what? So come to find out, we log on, to do the interview and she's looking at both of us and she's like, okay, the blonde one, like you're Lisa, like looking at me. She's like, you're Lisa. I said, no, I'm Ashley. And she goes, no. Oh my gosh. I thought Lisa was someone else this whole time. And it turns out she was thinking about John Lynch's wife.
Linda Lynch, who's just like sheer class and beautiful.
Who is serene, classy, and dignified.
Everything she thought I was that I'm not.
I was laughing so hard.
Yeah, sorry.
And then she felt so bad because she was like, oh, well, now some of Lisa's comments about getting knocked up make sense, Yeah.
Linda Lynch isn't saying that. I don't think. She's just classy.
You're classy in your own
in
way.
My own. Oh yeah. 100%. Oh yeah. Never. I don't think I've ever been accused of being classy, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing, I think. As Olivia Culpo told us the other day, which this is like my new favorite.
This is your new mantra.
This is my new mantra.
Yep.
Life is too boring to worry about what other people think.
Amen.
No, life is too short. What is it? Hold on.
Life is too short. Yeah, wait. What?
Life is too boring to be short, I think.
What?
I'm going to get a t-shirt made that says life is too boring to be short.
Oh my gosh. Did you read that book, A Mockingbird to Remember?
Yeah, I think the quote actually was,
I think
life is too short to be boring and care about what other people think, which is
Amen.
Freaking men, Olivia.
Yes. 1 rating. Come on.
Yeah, I know. We're not boring. We might be dumb, but we're not boring.
Yeah.
Oh God. I also have to say the fact that my other thing that I've loved about this, and we've mentioned it before, but just that I feel like we've actually become friends with these moms. Like I still,
every one of them. We texted them. Oh, it's so fun. Oh, Kate and Jen invited us to
Drag Queen Bingo tonight. Yes. Drag Queen Bingo.
Oh my gosh.
In Fort Morgan. I'm a little upset that you can't go.
Do you know how upset I am? I'm like, I'm going to it the next time they offer it. I'm dropping everything. I couldn't tonight. I have prior engagement, but from next Drag Queen Bingo offer, I'm there. And
that's an offer of a lifetime to go 100%. With Kate and Jen McBride to Drag Queen Bingo. Not easy to say.
Yeah, say that 3 times.
But I told them to send some pictures, so hopefully we'll
get
feel like we were
pics.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, the last thing I want to say what were you going to say?
I was just going to give you a teeny tiny bit of advice. I've been listening to people talk about parenting and whatnot. And one thing that struck is, which I kind of wish somebody had told me early on, but I think having 4 sort of took care of this. But one thing, don't do anything for your kids that they can't do for themselves. Because you want to slowly teach them independence and you want to slowly let go. I mean, that sounds dramatic now because yours are so young and little. But if you want well-adjusted kids, you have to just slowly, you like, as long as it takes them to get dressed or whatever, it's going to be double time compared to you just doing it. But you have to let them do it. You have to make them feel good about themselves and maintain some sort of independence. So
this is like divine intervention that you're telling me this today, because I will tell you this morning, and I almost was going to send you a video because I struggle with this. So Cora, my 3-year-old, she's smart as hell, independent, like all these, but just because we enable it of like, I'm going to get you dressed and put your shoes on because it's going to take you an hour,
right?
To do it by yourself. But today I was like, you're putting your shoes on. Like I'm going to sit here as long as it takes for you to put your shoes on.
Right.
And she finally looked at me and she said, Mama, you're not doing that thing that I asked you to do. And I'm like, what did you, I'm not putting your shoes on. That's what you're asking me. I'm not doing it. She said, no, to pray for me. And I said, pray for you? I said, okay, I'll pray for you. Like, and I'm thinking in my head, like, and so then I go, in the name of the Father, Son. And she goes, no. She goes, that thing you do where you say my name. And what we have done previously to like get her to put her pajamas on and to get dressed by herself is that we like chant her name. We're like, Cora.
Oh my God.
She really, feeds off the energy of an audience.
I love it.
I was like, so I was like, oh yeah, I can fangirl you if that's what you need to put your shoes on. So there's a lot of energy, but she put her shoes on and then felt so proud of herself.
That's what you're supposed to start doing.
But I think mostly I should probably just pray for her is what I should. I was like, that's what you need more than anything else.
It sounds like Cora's got it going on and is doing really well.
She is
her
doing
mom trying to enable her.
Yeah, she's doing some things.
That's one thing that I wish someone had told me, especially with Max. We totally, I tried to do everything for him because he was the first one, but then Christian came along and I couldn't. So,
and I actually read, I really appreciate you saying that because there was a book that I read where there was, and this was even talking about older kids, is that like, you should always evaluate like every month or 2 months. Cause we think that our kids are in the same, phase that they've been in for forever. Right. But they said the thing is, especially as they get to like adolescent, 7, 8, 9, adolescents, teenage
like
years.
28.
Every month or 2 months, letting them do something that they haven't done before, like having them do something that is independent that they haven't done before. So whether that's go on a bike ride around the neighborhood without you, whether that's going over to a friend's house across the street, like whatever.
Cleaning up leaves in the front yard, doing dishes, whatever.
Yes, whatever that step is. And chores. We are big on chores.
You are big. Okay.
Yeah. And Collins is a chore master. I think Cora, we've had a chore chart for like 3 months. And I think Cora has like 2 stars. Oh. So not as much into the stars.
That's because you're not cheering her on.
I know. I'm she's going to put that silverware away. But I got to be there and I got to be cheering her on. No,
you and Chris have to sit there and just cheer her on. Let's go.
Oh God. But yeah, I do. I think that it is the independence because that's what you want. You want to prepare them to leave your house. That is the goal.
Yes.
I don't want to, it's sad to think about when they leave, but you're like, no, my job is to get you ready to not need me.
Right.
And that's, what was the thing? Like, what was your, in terms of like making lunches and doing their own laundry? How did you navigate?
Laundry was a nightmare. That
I can't imagine.
That was still tough. They still to this day complain, oh, my socks are, I had to let it go. That was the one thing not that I didn't do it. I did the laundry, but I wasn't neurotic. Like, these are his socks. I didn't have them all labeled. And I'm like, I just kind of like did it as fast as I could and threw it where I could.
Yeah.
And they were always fighting over, wait, that's mine. I'm not fighting like crazy, like the Copo sisters have fought in the past, which is pretty funny because I used to think they did. They fought, but I'm like, now hearing them, I'm like, oh,
girls and boys fight differently too.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. And the best is now, who gets mad is freaking Ed, because Dylan and they all steal his clothes. Anytime he buys anything nice, they think it's fair game, which isn't very often, mind you, but every now and then, or I'll buy him something. Or actually my one crazy friend, she always gets him like a super nice shirt and it disappears within a month. And the next thing I see Max wearing it, looking like, all suave. I'm like, wait.
It's a compliment. It's I think that's a compliment.
It would be if he was buying his own clothes. But
true.
So no,
and Stacey.
No, laundry was a fiasco, that's for sure. So I wasn't neurotic about that. But Wait, what'd you ask me again?
I don't even remember. Oh, just in terms of doing your own laundry and making lunches. And cause I
did not make lunches. That was the one meal I let go, but I would wake up and I'd make the most amazing breakfast. All their friends laugh about it to this day. We would do steak a lot of times for breakfast.
God.
I know that sounds silly, but there was two meals that I could make sure that they had something hearty and good for them, was breakfast and dinner. So I would go, for lack of a better term, I'd go balls out on breakfast and dinner. It was, and I had to learn to cook too. I was a horrible cook. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was such a bad cook. I didn't even know how to cook. So
no, well, you learned and you're amazing now. And I've told the story before, but when I stayed over at your place in the summer, when we recorded some of our early episodes, I remember waking up and just like smelling the eggs and the coffee. And there's like, it was just this warmth that I'm like, boy, I have not woken up to that. Maybe ever. I don't know. I don't want to say that. Like my mom did a great job with her scrambled eggs, I will say, but
oh, good. Yeah,
your scrambled eggs were another level. And it is, but I do think that and even when I showed up, I remember when I walked in from the flight, like you had this spread out on your kitchen counter that was like the most beautiful. I know. You were like, eat some carbs.
Yeah.
But there was like fruit and cheese and bread that you had gotten from this store. And I just, it's a love language. I really think that like cooking for people is a love language, and I feel it.
I love now if people like, I had a friend stay this last week and she's actually from California and I wasn't here. And I baked her like a pumpkin bread, like her and her daughter were staying there in a lacrosse tournament. I'm like, I baked them food. I made sure they had drinks. I don't know. It's just like, I wished I was here when they were here, and I love doing that. I have to say, I've learned to love it. Like I didn't at first because that was kind of foreign to me. I never did it. And
it's a way of caring for people, though. Yeah, I really believe that. I think it is.
I love,
and you're excellent at it. And it sounds like you told me that Olivia's mom, Susan, who we're going to have on the podcast soon, that she is an incredible.
Oh my
chef.
gosh, yes. Oh, it was the day after the game this past weekend, and I woke up in my workout outfit, just ready to go. And I walked upstairs and I'm like, it smells like Christmas morning in here. She had like gotten bacon. She had brought special challah bread from home.
And so this is, by the way, just to set the scene for people who are listening. So Susan came to Christian's game.
Yes.
Flew out to Charlotte, came to Christian's game. Olivia was obviously there, but brought a bunch of stuff to cook, right?
Ashley, you don't even know. Like after the game, she had this pan that had been passed down from 5 generations that she cooks this pizza in. And she had this special dough, special cheese, special sauce, and like whipped it up and put these like some pepperoni and just some, other like vegetables on it. It was the best pizza I've ever had in my life. And I grew up with Sir Pizza in Key Biscayne, Florida, which is one of the best pizza places ever. But this was, oh my gosh, it was so delicious. It was, it's memorable. Like I actually texted her the next day, or Olivia the next day. I go, please tell your mom, I'm craving that pizza right now. I'm starving and I want it so bad. So she better bring it because I think she's coming this weekend too. So
I love that.
And then fast forward the next morning, she's up hour before everyone with French toast from her challah bread. Oh, so she packs all of this in, like she says, the ugliest suitcase because she's so afraid her pan and all her goods are going to get stolen.
Yeah.
So she puts it in a really ugly suitcase and nobody steals it and comes and like opens it and has, oh my gosh, it's amazing. I'm like, wow. And I thought I was, pretty good at like,
that's another level.
It was the greatest thing ever.
And you know what? I will say too, that probably is really special for Olivia and for Christian, because I think, when you see your parents able to connect with the person who you love, and that, I think that matters and that's special. And to see the families connecting and to see you and Susan, your guys' relationship, I think that's awesome. So
she's awesome. I love her. I love her husband too is awesome. So he couldn't
I
make
can't wait to have them on.
Yeah. So
I can't wait to hear about the reality show.
Oh, I know. November 7th. Oh, it's going to be so good.
It's going to be good. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay, just a couple last things before we wrap up. There was something that you said when we went on Richard Deitch's podcast.
Okay.
Which I've heard from a lot of people who found us on there. So for those of you who just started listening, thank you. And thank you to Richard for having us on.
Welcome aboard.
But he asked you a question. He said, who do you hope your audience is? Who do you hope is listening to this? And you said something so poignant that he even stopped us after the interview. And he said, go clip that out and send it to sponsors. Like that was so poignant. And it was to me, and you can repeat exactly what you said, but you gave this answer about like, you wish that you had this essentially when you were home with your boys in those early days.
Yeah.
When you were at the park. So go, like, for those who didn't hear that podcast, what was
I kind of don't remember because I was wasted then when I did that. So I have no idea. I think I blacked out.
I know. You're a great drunk podcaster.
I'm kidding. I was completely coherent, but I'm just dumb. No, I just was like pulling back on the time when I had all four in particular, even when I had three at the time before Luke. But I just remember being really lonely, like after having kids, and you wouldn't think that because you have these great kids and they were awesome. There's nothing with them, but we'd go to the park and they would, run around and play with each other. And then I would just be craving like some adult interaction, like to, have a normal adult conversation with someone. And it was few and far between. And Ed was, completely distracted with football and gone. And when he was home, he was present and great, but he was gone so much. And we were on such an off schedule because of football too. Like he would work all weekends. That was his heavy, big time. Most of the time he'd be away on the weekends. And it would just be me at the park with my, the single mom with all the little boys running around wreaking havoc in the park. Like, so actually, this guy, I remember going to a McDonald's Playland. Well, actually, I don't remember, but somebody went up to Ed within the last couple of years and said, I will never forget watching your wife sit down with your kids. She was by herself at a McDonald's Playland with all the kids at a table and they were eating and, all they wanted to do was go and play. That's all they wanted to do was go and play. And finally, after it was enough time, they had, gotten their fill. Your wife finally said, okay, go. And she just stuck her hands up and they all just ran and just, oh my gosh, ball fights, like slides. Somebody got stuck in a slide at one point. I remember being pregnant with Luke and I think it was Dylan was stuck in the slide. I had to crawl up, hugely pregnant, barely able to fit in the tube, like crawling up trying to get. And there was a man that remembers it, and I'm so thankful that someone was there to witness it and give me a little bit of props. Those were some trying times, and I just remember being very lonely. I'll be honest, and and it sounds like woe is me. I was
but I think that is so. It is not woe is me at all. When you gave that answer of just like I would be at the park and I'd be with the kids, and I would see all these other families together.
Yeah.
And it felt lonely. Yeah. And I don't know. So basically to bring it full circle, like this podcast is, I wish I had this podcast to listen to, because you don't realize sometimes motherhood doesn't feel like it should be lonely. Cause a lot of times all you want to do is be alone when you're a mom.
Right.
But
and
the reality
oh my gosh,
is,
yeah, exactly. And I feel guilty. I would feel guilty feeling that way. I'm like, gosh, how do I feel? I have these great kids. I'm, raising good kids and I have a good husband. I can't feel that way. But I just remember oh my gosh, pangs. And it was a little bit sad. I'll be honest at times, as everything.
No, I think that's honest. And I just appreciate you saying that. And I will say, as I was thinking about you sitting there and my heart broke thinking about you at the park, like feeling that way. But I also then realized I'm like, that's basically my husband, Chris, every weekend during football season and basketball season. So I'm glad that I'm doing this podcast for Chris. I'm glad he has this podcast.
Step and get him back because
I love you, honey. I'm so glad that I'm doing this for you. Thanks for raising our children while I'm doing podcasts and, traveling every weekend. You're the best. But the point is, we've heard obviously from a ton of people, dads, future moms, current moms, people who don't even like kids. And I think everybody's been able to take something.
Right.
Yeah. Grandmas for sure from this. And it's meant something. So, okay. Last thing at the end here, before we say goodbye, I'm going to get mushy on you for 1 second. So we've launched almost exactly 2 months ago, which it feels, in some ways like it's been a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
In a good way, I think.
Right.
And as evidenced by, like everything that we just talked about, it's been really meaningful and it's been a gift to meet these moms and learn from them, especially at the point in parenthood, like you said, that I'm in. But Lisa, I just have to give you a shout out because I really feel like your friendship and getting to know you, and I probably text you like 30 times a day, but that has been one of the biggest gifts of this whole thing. And I just think back to last summer when I had the balls to actually call you. To do this. And it took me a while to work those balls up.
I love your balls.
I know you do. And I love your balls too. I'm just so glad that you said yes to an idea that I had been thinking about for like 6 years. And you said it so emphatically and you've been just so on board and it's meant the world. And so all I will say is for our listeners, my message to you, if you are listening to this, and it's amazing that you're still listening to this podcast, however many minutes in we are. If you have an idea that you're thinking about, like whether it's something big or small, something you wanted to try, if you want to write a book, start a podcast, go on a trip with somebody you love, whatever that thing is, go do it. This is the sign.
Call your
from
mom
the universe,
first and then do it.
Call your mom and then go do it. Like this is the sign that you've been waiting for. You are listening to this podcast
this is your little mini epiphany. Boom.
Stop thinking about it and just go do it. Just start somewhere. Because this has been a gift. And it all started with me being like, Today's the day I'm going to call her. Okay,
Yeah.
tomorrow's the day I'm going to call her.
And Ashley, it was whatever divine intervention, you hit me at the most perfect time. We've talked about this before. Literally, like I was feeling so down and bad about myself. I'm like, I need to do something for myself. And you hit me at the perfect time. And I look forward to these conversations. I love it. I have loved every single mom we have interviewed. I've gotten something out of, and I love them. Like you said, we have a relationship with each of them, and it's so fun. And it's so wonderful. It's so beautiful. So, but especially you, and I appreciate your friendship, and I love watching you go through parenting, and you are killing it. I know sometimes you don't think you are, but you are, and it's funny. It's messy, like you said, which is spot on. It can be lonely, as Chris knows, not you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. It's not lonely for me. It's only
but
for
no,
Chris.
you are killing it. You are doing an awesome job. And the fact you're analyzing and thinking about it is so amazing. It shows you care, and you're doing a greght job. Like, I feel like you are away from your kids to do it, but you're trying to be a better person, better mom when you're with them because of this, I hope.
And hopefully they'll be able to listen to these podcasts one day when they're older and be like, oh, she did care.
Yeah.
She did.
Yeah, maybe
she thought about it.
She played trains with me. I know she was doing selfies.
I know she played trains with me once because she talked about it on a podcast. Oh, Lisa, you're the best.
No, you're the best.
We love you, our listeners. Thank you for joining us on this ride. Obviously, even if no one was listening, we'd still be doing it because it's amazing.
So fun.
It's been great to get all the feedback, and we're interested in that 1-star reviewer. Tell us what we can do better.
Yep.
I cannot wait for everyone to hear Megan Rapinoe's mom next week.
Denise
Don't miss
Rapinoe,
that.
Yep.
Please subscribe. Now that Lisa is subscribed, you have no reason not to be subscribed either.
Hey,
if she can do it, you can.
Anyone can.
Love you guys. Go call your mom and do that thing. Go do that thing.
Whatever
Go
it is
start.
in your head, do it. I love it.
Mwah.
Peace.